Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to another episode of Quran Weekly, where I listen to the Quran in Arabic but discuss it in English. My name is Ahmed, and I'm happy to take you on continuing through chapter 11, Surah Hud, the Prophet Hud, which we just discovered his story in the last couple of verses. And today we get into the section that starts from verse 61. Very interesting / controversial section. Before I begin, I must always explain that I am not an Arabic scholar, nor am I studying the nor am I a Quranic scholar. I have not studied the Arabic language nor the Quran. In fact, this is my first read through the Quran, and I am sharing my learning journey with you in the hopes that you might learn something. But also, if you see something that you disagree with, please feel free to drop a comment. I'm happy to welcome opposing views. I'm also learning as well. So I'm not claiming to be an authority, I'm just trying to understand it. And in an earlier verse of the Quran said, anyone who's trying to understand and gain guidance from the Quran will get it. Therefore, what I'm doing is in accordance with the Quran. Anyway, before I get into the verses, today's verses are going to be somewhat controversial. We're going to talk about Thamud and Saleh, which is not that controversial. We're going to talk a bit about Abraham and the messengers, not that controversial. But then we're going to talk about Lut and the messengers. And for those that don't know, Lut is the prophet that was prophet/messenger that was sent to the people of Sodom and Gomorrah, aka what a lot of people use in the Quran to mean that homosexuality is a sin, even though I don't think the Quran says that. But we will cover it today, and I will tell you what is in the Quran and obviously what I understand from it. But so it's a very spicy topic, and it's a personally relatable topic to me, so I'm interested. Before we get into the Quran, we must always say أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. I used to explain it in every episode, but ask if you want me to explain what that means. But off we go.
وإلى ثمود أخاهم صالحا قال يا قوم اعبدوا الله ما لكم من إله غيره هو أنشأكم من الأرض واستعمركم فيها فاستغفروه ثم توبوا إليه إن ربي قريب مجيب.
I really want to rush to the Prophet Lut part, but let's take it step by step. Let's go bit by bit. Okay, so the previous verses we're talking about the different. We talked about Hud, we talked about Noah, we talked about the different prophets and messengers. This is now we're bringing another story, and it says, "And to Thamud, Thamud is the location. We sent their brother Saleh. Saleh was the name of the messenger or prophet, and he said, surprise, surprise. He said, my people worship only God. You have no God other than Him. There's only one God. Same message that every single prophet and messenger, Jesus, Muhammad, Moses, Hud, Saleh, everybody's saying there's only one God. Worship Him. He's the one that produced you in this earth, and He settled you in it. So seek for forgiveness, ask for forgiveness, and then turn in repentance towards Him. Indeed, God, my Lord is near and all responsive." And one of the biggest points that we see time and time again is all the messengers say, believe and ask for repentance. And this ties into the concept that we've been talking about in this channel quite a lot, the original sin concept, that once Adam and Eve fell from heaven, we were born into a world of sin, and we all have sin within us. So we always, no matter how great you are, have to ask for forgiveness and have to ask for repentance. And that's how we get into God's good graces, which is kind of the point of life. The point of life is to believe and get back into heaven, so to speak. This is a test. There's a question. What's your favorite verse in any religious book? Bible, Quran? It's tough, but I would have to say Ayat al-Kursi, which is chapter 2, verse 256 or 254. But I'm not gonna pull it up because I'm doing these verses. But Ayat al-Kursi. I'll type it for you so you can Google it on your own. So, what is Salih asking the people of Thamud? Same thing. There's only one God, and ask for repentance and seek for forgiveness. Seek forgiveness and ask for repentance. And indeed, it says God is near, and He will answer your prayer. So God will always, if you ask God for forgiveness, God will almost always grant it for you. If you genuinely and sincerely ask it for it, like all you have to do is just ask for this thing and you get it. Like that's the easiest transaction I've ever had in my life. Ask and you shall receive. But the message is the same as every single messenger, as every single prophet, including Jesus, who said, there's only one God, pray to Him, worship to Him. Yeah.
قالوا يا صالح قد كنت فينا مرجوا قبل هذا أتنهانا أن نعبد ما يعبد آباؤنا وإننا لفي شك مما تدعونا إليه مريب.
So what did the people of Thamud say? They said, "Oh, Saleh, you used to be among us the one who was like, who we had a lot of hope on. We used to believe in you. You were like the shining light of our people from before this. So do you forbid us that we worship what our forefathers worshipped? Indeed, we are surely doubting about what you're calling us to do in it, and it seems kind of suspicious." So surprise, surprise again, a messenger comes to the people, and the people deny the messenger. We've seen this time and time again, but it shows you that it is consistent across the world, across the globe, across the times. People will not believe. That's the main lesson. Okay, I will look at your favorite verse after I'm done with these verses. So I kind of want to finish this Quran episode, but I'm happy to discuss with you after the episode. We've got another 21 verses left to go. But generally, Salih came to his people. His people said, "We don't doubt, and do you forbid us from worshiping what our parents worshipped?" Again, this is a thing that the Prophet Muhammad was told to him. All the prophets came to the people and told them, "Stop praying and worshiping to false deities. Pray to God." And all of them go, "But our parents were doing this. This is what we learned from our parents. Are you denying our parents?" "Yes, we're denying your parents. Don't pray and worship to anything other than God. This is the right answer. Don't do the wrong answer." And then he says,
قال يا قوم أرأيتم إن كنت على بينة من ربي وآتاني منه رحمة فمن ينصرني من الله إن عصيته فما تزيدونني غير تخسير.
So he said, Salih responded to them, "O my people, have you seen if I am on a clear proof?" And again, we've seen this in the previous verses, in the previous sections, which I feel like they were given some sort of miracle or some sort of proof. He was given something that was a clear proof, that gave them an indication that he was a messenger. And he was given this from God. So he's saying, did you not see the clear proof that I brought? And he has given me from his mercy. And again, we've seen this in I think with Hud or with Noah. I'm very curious to see what it means. Like it feels like there was an affliction and then mercy was brought upon him, so the affliction was gone. That's kind of the vibe that I get from the mercy that is mentioned. But it's mentioned multiple times in this chapter. So I think it's very interesting. But he was also given a clear proof. Then who can help me against God if I were to disobey him? So he's like, I've shown you proof that God can do miracles, and you're asking me to disobey God? No, he got power. I'm not crossing him. I understand and I respect God for God's authority and power, and all you would do is you would only increase me in loss. If I were to follow you, you'd only contribute to my doom. So it's like I don't want bad things to happen to me. I'm good. And it kind of like it's bringing up a lot of discussions that I've had with people who are like, "Oh, why is God having such a strict relationship? Why does he want us to be afraid? Why is he like, either do good or I'll kill you? And I'm like, it's not do good or I'll kill you precisely, but in a way, it's do good or suffer. And the way that he's saying, at least now, this was in the time of these prophets and messengers, God was saying he was going to send his, and we will see an example of it, that he will send his judgment to kind of stop them in this world. But the main lesson of the Quran is that you will get a punishment for what you do, definitely in the afterlife, sometimes in this current life. But it also kind of seems that no matter if you're good or bad, this life is going to be hard. And this life is going to be something that you need mercy in. And that's why mercy is such an important factor. Anyway, I kind of lost my thought because I'm a little bit under the weather. But it's fine. He said, I can't disobey God. I've given you clear proofs that he gave me. He has power. I'm not going to disobey him. If I did, you'd only cause me more loss. No.
ويا قوم هذه ناقة الله لكم آية فذروها تأكل في أرض الله ولا تمسوها بسوء فيأخذكم عذاب قريب.
All right, and now we get to see a little bit more about what the Prophet Salih and his people had, and they're very known for the female camel. So he says, "Oh my people, this is the she camel, the female camel. The naqa is the Arabic word for female camel. This is هذه ناقة الله. This is God's she camel for you as a sign." Which I feel like there was something about this she camel, like it was like perfect complexion or glowing or something. There was something visible about the she camel that made it a sign. I don't think it was just a she camel. But anyway, he said, there's a she camel. This is a sign. So leave her to eat, to graze from the earth, to the graze of the earth of God, God's earth. And do not touch her with any harm, because lest it sees you a punishment that is soon, a swift punishment. Qariban means soon, like it's coming shortly. So he said, yeah, here's the she camel, don't touch her, bad things will happen. So what do?
فعقروها فقال تمتعوا في داركم 3 أيام ذلك وعد غير مكذوب.
So of course they hamstrung her. Here it says that they killed her, but actually فعقروها, hamstrung her makes more sense. Means they disabled her. Like it means they made her lame, that she can't walk, which is also causing harm, because his condition was don't cause her any harm, and it seems that they hamstrung her. Here they says they killed her. That's not quite accurate. Hamstrung her, like to hamstrung someone is to hit their hamstrung so that they can't walk anymore, and that is more accurate of what they did. Either way, they caused harm to the she camel that they were told by the Prophet, don't cause harm or else you will suffer. So Saleh said, well, enjoy yourselves in your homes 3 days. Enjoy yourselves in your homes for 3 days. When he said soon, he meant soon. That is a promise that is not a lie. That is an unfailing promise. It will not be So he's like, y'all got 3 days. Have fun. Which is terrifying. So what happened?
فلما جاء أمرنا نجينا صالحا والذين آمنوا معه برحمة منا ومن خزي يومئذ إن ربك هو القوي العزيز.
I'll read this in a second, but there's a comment. The comment is a bit harsh. It says the Arabic words look hard to write. The entire book was written in Arabic first. One thing about the Quran Quran means that which is read. And it wasn't written at first. When it was given to the Prophet Muhammad via, we believe, Jibril, the angel, archangel Jibril, Gabriel, but I don't have evidence to suggest to confirm that, but that's just a belief. It was revealed to the Prophet Muhammad, and Muhammad was reciting it to all of his people, and people were essentially reading it, but from their heads. And it came to the reason, the funny part about why this is a miracle, the Quran. Every prophet came with a miracle of his people. So the people of Muhammad were expert linguists and expert poets, and that was their strength. So the Quran came to a people who were really good at Arabic and who were fantastic at writing poetry and beautiful things, and it essentially outdid everything that they've ever seen from, and it still hasn't been outdone, and it's been 1,500 years, and it contains so many miracles of the world today. So it's not difficult to write the Quran. It's to be read. Second of all, any language that you don't know seems difficult, right? Anyway, back to the Quran. It says, so he said 3 days after they hurt the she-camel. And so when it came our command, and we know this is kind of how God says that he will deliver his judgment. It's just a command of God. And he always speaks in we, in the royal we. When our command came, i.e. when it's time for the people of Thamud to get their worldly punishment, we saved Salih and those who believed with him by a mercy from us and from the disgrace of that day. So again, bad things going to happen to all of us. God will have mercy on the believers. And that's kind of the main message. Indeed, your Lord is the strong and the mighty, the all-powerful and the almighty. Pretty clear.
وأخذ الذين ظلموا الصيحة فأصبحوا في ديارهم جاثمين.
Now this is an interesting expression. And it sees those who were wronged, the people of Thamud who did wrong. It sees them, al-sayhatu, it says a thunderous blast. It's also the word for a screech, a scream. Like, it's a scream that's so loud that it's like it's sending waves. And the image that I get through my head, I know this will show my pop culture references. Mortal Kombat, I think it was like Sinclair, what was her name? Anyway, she had the long hair, and in the Mortal Kombat movie, she just screamed at the mountain, and it shook the whole mountain. It was that vibe. That's the vibe that I get, like some strong, powerful. For me, it's an audio blast, but they're saying a thunderous blast. I mean, thunder is sound, right? It's just a sound, and it says they became in their homes jathimin. Jithim is like a corpse. So they became corpses. They became corpses, and in their home they became a corpse. Like it's a scream so loud that you just die from the scream. It's a very powerful visual, which is kind of intense.
كأن لم يغنوا فيها ألا إن ثمود كفروا ربهم ألا بعدا لثمود.
Okay, and then it says it's as if they had never prospered, they had never lived there. يغنوا, I like prospered better. Lived is not enough. يغنوا فيها, as if they, like, you build your home and you're kind of safe in your home, and this was like as if there was like they were nothing in their homes. As if they had never built it, they have never built shelter and been protected. No doubt that Thamud disbelieved in their Lord, so away with Thamud. And another part of the discussions that I've had with a lot of people is like, well, if God's unconditional, then why is he like genocidal? Why does he wipe people that are unjust? Shouldn't he love everyone? And the answer is, I don't think that God loves everyone. God makes it very clear. The good will be rewarded and the bad will be punished. That is not unconditional love, and that is not unconditional love for all. I do think that there is a serious confusion, and I understand the people that believe in it the most are the Christians. But again, I have my own hesitations. I don't think that's what Jesus said. But I have to study the Gospels before I can argue that properly. The God of the Bible and the God of the Torah and the God of the Quran says that God punished people multiple times. Noah's flood ran out. Sodom and Gomorrah, where we're going to get to Sodom and Gomorrah. The people of Thamud. There seems to be consistent examples of God showing that it's not unconditional love. It is, if you are bad, you will suffer. That for me makes more sense than unconditional love for all, because that doesn't make sense. But anyway, neither here nor there. We're getting closer to Sodom and Gomorrah. God help us.
ولقد جاءت رسلنا إبراهيم بالبشرى قالوا سلاما قال سلام فما لبث أن جاء بعجل حنيذ.
Okay, the precursor to Lut is Abraham, because Abraham and Lut were at the same time period, which is very interesting to know. And certainly came our messengers to Abraham, with glad tidings. So they said peace. Now here it says messengers. Here they translate it to messenger angels, and it seems to be the understanding that these messengers were angels. But I don't have any Quranic evidence to suggest that is the case. I do know that they are messengers. We're going to get into it a bit more, because I've had this kind of discussion with, for instance, Captain Ahmad many times. We'll get into why the people believe that they are angel messengers, and I'll give you the arguments for it, and I'll give you the arguments against it. So they said peace, so he said peace. Salam means peace, by the way, in case you didn't know. That's what's written. Salam is peace. That's the word. So فَمَا لَبِثَ so he didn't delay, and he brought to them a calf that is roasted. He brought to them a roasted calf. He's like, okay, these are guests in my house, let me bring them food. So, what happened?
فلما رأى أيديهم لا تصل إليه نكرهم وأوجس منهم خيفة قالوا لا تخف إنا أرسلنا إلى قوم لوط.
All right. Okay, so it says, but when he saw that their hands did not reach out towards the food, the roasted calf, he became unfamiliar for them. He's like, uh-oh, this is a problem. Because, again, this is like Bedouin times, and if you offer someone food and they don't eat, then you're like, what is your intention? If you're not here to be my guest, are you here to be my enemy, for example? And so he felt apprehension from them and a fear. So they said, do not be afraid. Indeed, we have been sent to the people of Lut. So, the argument that I've heard is that because they're angels and they didn't eat, again, I can't confirm that they're angels, but it said because they didn't eat, we know that they're angels, which I go like, but that's not what they're saying. They said, do not be afraid, we have been sent for the people of Lut. They didn't say we don't eat. They didn't say we are angels. I understand why people get this conclusion, but I don't see any Quranic evidence to suggest that they are angels or that angels don't eat. I just know that they did not reach for the food. That does not mean they do not eat. And their answer was that we were sent to the people of Lut, which I'm like, so does that mean they're going to eat at Lut? I don't know. Lut is obviously the prophet of the prophet of Sodom and Gomorrah, but in the previous verse it said they bring good tidings. So what good tidings do they bring?
وامرأته قائمة فضحكت فبشرناها بإسحاق ومن وراء إسحاق يعقوب.
And his wife, and Abraham's wife, was standing, so she laughed. Because, I mean, it's kind of interesting. I wonder why she laughed when they said that they're coming for the people of Lut. I think she laughed because it was like she was afraid, and then they said, "Don't be afraid, we're coming for Lut," and then they laughed. Ha 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 ha. Oh, hang on a second. That makes sense. I think the angels are sent. Also, it's got to be tied to food. My thought that I had just now was that the angels were sent to deliver a warning of doom. And so when they didn't eat, the Prophet Abraham recognized that they were going to deliver a message of doom, but they said, "Don't worry, we're coming to the people of Lut." And therefore, Abraham's wife laughed because they're like, "Oh, they're not coming for us." That makes sense in my head. I don't have any Quranic reference to suggest that, but that makes sense in my head. Because here's my evidence as well. And when our messengers came to Abraham with good tidings, they said peace, and he said peace. And I feel like he knew that they were messengers at that point. I don't know. I don't have any evidence to suggest it. I cannot. This is just in my head. This is just what I understood. Anyway, all we know is that Abraham's wife was standing and then she laughed. And so they gave her the good tidings, good news of Isaac, and from after him, Isaac, Jacob. And we know that Abraham had two sons, Isaac and Jacob. I believe both tribes, both of them are the tribes of Israel. Jacob and Isaac, who's the father of Jews. Jacob is also known as Israel, is considered the father of the Jewish people, while Isaac is the pivotal answer. Jacob is directly who fathers the 12 tribes. So Jacob is the one Jacob's the one who directly Yaqub. Jacob is the father of Israel, not Isaac. Interesting. I very interesting. Because I do think Isaac was the one that Abraham was asked to sacrifice, and then God replaced it with a lamb. But that's my own thought. I don't have a Quranic reference. We have a question that is not about the Quran, but about the Bible in the chat. But I would like to talk about it. Hey, I do have a sincere question. That's an important one. Muslims would say the Bible have been corrupted, and I ask, who corrupted it? So, again, I don't have evidence to suggest that that is the case. The only evidence that I have is that the Quran mentions the Quran is preserved. I do not have the evidence that the Bible is preserved. And also, corruption is a wild term because it can mean multiple things. For instance, the Quran itself hasn't been corrupted. It's in its original language and hasn't been touched and hasn't been changed. But the understanding of the Quran can sometimes be corrupted, and hatred can be spewed, and people can kill people saying that the Quran has told us to do so when it hasn't. So the corruption can either be in the text of the Bible or the understanding of the Bible. As I understand it from the Bible itself, there is no fixed Bible. And the Bible that we have today was made canon, 500 years ago, 550 years ago by the Catholic Church. And even then, it was like a translation of a translation. And even then, it was like sometimes some things pop up that weren't there before. Some things that don't pop up weren't there before. So if you were to ask me, who do I think corrupted it? I would say the people who are managing its publication, which are the Catholic Church. Because they're picking and choosing what verses make it into the Bible and what verses don't make it into the Bible. For instance, I know there are a lot of Gospels that didn't make it into the Bible, but I think that maybe those Gospels are also valid, and maybe those Gospels also contain teachings of Jesus. Very interesting. Thank you for the question. It's a very valid question. But yeah, I don't have any evidence to that, and I haven't studied the Gospels yet or the Bible, so I don't have a definitive answer. I just have my own perspective on it. Whereas the Quran, it's one version and has existed for 1,400 years in its original language. Like, yeah, our understanding can come and go, but the text itself is fixed. There's one text. And yeah, it like you'll find 100 million English, French, Chinese translations, but the Arabic is fixed. And that's what makes it uncorruptible, so to speak. But again, our understanding of it could be corrupted. Anyway, okay. So they said to the wife of Abraham, which we believe to be, her name is Sarah. I take this from the Jews. I don't think the Quran mentions her name. But it says Isaac, and after Isaac, Jacob. Jacob is the father of the Jews, the 12 tribes of Israel. Not the Jews, but the 12 tribes of Israel. Interesting. I think there's a distinction. Because I think anyone can become a Jew, but specific descendants of Israel are very different. But that's getting too political. Anyway.
قالت يا ويلتى أألد وأنا عجوز وهذا بعلي شيخا إن هذا لشيء عجيب.
I love her attitude. Abraham's wife is she's laughing with these messengers. She's like, and then she says, "Oh, woe to me! Am I gonna bear a child while I'm an old woman? And my husband is a really old man. You expect me, the old woman, and that old man to produce not one but two babies? Indeed, this is something that is very strange, amazing, astonishing." She's like, and I feel like it's very lighthearted. Like, really? Oh, I'm gonna give birth. Oh, and then what the response is?
قالوا أتعجبين من أمر الله رحمة الله وبركاته عليكم أهل البيت إنه حميد مجيد.
They said, are you really amazed, or are you really wondering at the command of God, the decree of God? Like, what, you think that God's not going to be able to let you, the old lady who's married to the old man, have children? It is a mercy of God and his blessings upon you and the people of this house. Indeed, he is all praiseworthy and all glorious. So it's like their response is very somber and very serious, very like, God's capable of anything, and are you really surprised? Just trust in God. It's very somber and beautiful.
فلما ذهب عن إبراهيم الروع وجاءته البشرى يجادلنا في قوم لوط.
And again, this is why I think that he knew that they were messengers and he was worried they were coming to him. And then well, anyway, let's read the verse first and then discuss. And when it had gone away from Abraham the fright, when the fright had left Abraham, and it came to him the good tidings, the good news that you're going to have two children, he then argued with us concerning the people of Lut. And again, this ties, he was afraid, and now he's arguing about the people of Lut, because this is what his fear was about. His fear wasn't that they weren't going to eat. His fear was these messengers are coming to deliver catastrophic news, and you knew, and now it's very obvious that he knows that they're going to the people of Lut, and he knows that they're gonna tell them y'all done messed up, and God's judgment's coming. So he started arguing against that. He's saying, hey, come on, please, people of Lut, they're good people. Don't let this happen.
إن إبراهيم لحليم أواه منيب.
Yeah, this is something that I definitely related to in my youth, and less so as I studied the Quran, which is kind of interesting. Indeed, Abraham is forbearing, he has a very tender heart, and he's Awahu Manib, and he always turns to God. He always turns to God. And Halimun is kind of like his heart is soft, essentially. And he feels for those people, even though he knows that they're corrupt, he still feels for them. And he also, because he knows the Lut and he knows his people, after returning and this. Okay, I see you posted some more comments on the Bible. I will definitely continue the discussion after the verses. We have 8 more verses after this. Then I will get into the discussion, because I would very much like to have the discussion, but I want to keep the focus on the Quran for now. Yeah, so Abraham was pleading for the people of Lut because he has a tender heart and he always turns to God. And I used to always relate to this. I used to be like, I love all people and all people deserve good and all people are good, but some are just traumatized. The Quran says time and time and time and time again, no, some people are not good. Some people do not want to be good. Some people will refuse belief. Even Noah's son in the previous chapter, the flood was happening around him, and Noah was telling him, get on board, let me save you. And he goes, no, I'll be fine. I'm going to get up the mountain. Like, his father was telling him, you're going to die if you don't listen to me. And he goes, no, it's okay. I'll take care of myself. Like, his disbelief was so persevering that the flood is literally around him, and he didn't listen to his dad. Like, some people are just not worth the sympathy that Abraham was affording them, but Abraham was a softer man than I, so to speak. I used to be like this when I was younger. I used to be, everyone deserves a chance. And now I go, oh, okay, some people don't. All right. And it's their own choice. Everyone who wants to be good can be good. And everyone who wants to be bad will be bad. So don't fret so much about it.
يا إبراهيم أعرض عن هذا إنه قد جاء أمر ربك وإنهم آتيهم عذاب غير مردود.
Yeah, even the messengers, we assume the messenger said this because I don't think God was talking directly to Abraham, but anyway. It says, Abraham, turn away from this. And what is this? Pleading for the people of Lut. Pleading for the people of Sodom and Gomorrah. Stop asking about the people of Sodom and Gomorrah. Indeed, it has certainly come as a command from your God. God has commanded that they will receive this punishment. And indeed, coming for them is a punishment that cannot be repelled, averted, or stopped. So the messengers told Abraham, stop pleading for their case. It's done. God said so. It's going to happen. Okay.
ولما جاءت رسلنا لوطا سيء بهم وضاق بهم ذرعا وقال هذا يوم عصيب.
Okay, and then we see the same thing. These messengers go to Lut, and this time his fear is valid. Abraham's fear was that they were coming to him, but they were really coming to Lut. So when they came, our messengers to Lut, the prophet of Sodom and Gomorrah, he was distressed by them, and his chest tightened with them, and he was uneasy, and he said, "This is a day that is terrible, that is distressful, that is horrible," because he knows what's about to happen.
وجاءه قومه يهرعون إليه ومن قبل كانوا يعملون السيئات قال يا قوم هؤلاء بناتي هن أطهر لكم فاتقوا الله ولا تخزون في ضيفي أليس منكم رجل رشيد.
Okay. Yeah, there's no way of talking about this other than explaining what the general Muslim perspective is on this. But let's talk about it word by word and see what we can come up with and what we understand. Anyway. And so his people came to him. They came to him rushing to him. And from before, they used to do many evil deeds. And again, this was the problem with Sodom and Gomorrah, is that they used to transgress and do evil deeds. Okay. And then he said, "O my people, these are my daughters. They are pure for you." I'm going to read the full verse and then explain it. "So fear God and do not disgrace me concerning my guests. Is there not among you a man that is right-minded, that is properly guided?" Okay. So, as this has been explained to me before, the understanding is that the messengers had come to the Prophet Lut as guests. This is the guests that he was talking about. And apparently the people of Sodom and Gomorrah had come to the Prophet Lut saying, "We want those men sexually." That's the understanding that has been given to me from before. And so this is why the Prophet Lut was saying, "These are my daughters, they are more pure for you." And there are a couple of things here. One, the I don't want to say the basic, the Muslim perspective on this topic is that the daughters are pure for them because they're female, whereas the messengers are male. That is what people believe. For me, I believe it is about consent, and it is about what is offered and what is not offered. And from what I understand is the Prophet Lut was trying to protect his guests by honor of, they're my guests, therefore they should not be violated by anyone. And instead, as is common in that time, is to offer, yes, I know, offering daughters in the modern day today is like, "Oh, why are you setting women? Oh my God." It's a part of the customs of the time before was to offer children for treaties and partnerships and marriages to kind of build tribe relationships. So it was very part and parcel of what was happening. So I think the fact that he was saying, "Take my daughters," instead of taking my guests who don't want to be taken, and they are my guests and they wish to be protected, that is what makes them pure, not because they are women instead of men. I don't see the women instead of men, but I also understand the Muslim perspective of why this is happening. All we know is he says, "Take my daughters, they're more pure, and do not disgrace me concerning my guests." So I do understand the concept of the people wanting to rape the messengers, but we assume the messengers are the guests here. That's the most logical conclusion. But either way, the people of Sodom and Gomorrah wanted to do the evil deeds to the guests. And again, I think that for me, what I think the big problem of Sodom and Gomorrah was rape, sexual violation. Which again, then take my daughters. I understand. I can hear people saying, "Oh, so he should rape his daughters instead of raping." I get it. I understand what you're saying. But you have to understand that in tribal Arabia, and for a long time outside of tribal Arabia, in kings and queens used to offer their children as a form of building a connection and building a relationship. I'm going to ignore that comment, Mohab, because I understand your intention is not pure. But yeah, so it's a difficult verse, obviously. All we know is that he offered his daughters. His daughters are more pure. And be mindful of God. Do not disgrace me regarding my guests. And is there not among you a right-minded person?
قالوا لقد علمت ما لنا في بناتك من حق وإنك لتعلم ما نريد.
So it continues. And they said, the people of Sodom and Gomorrah said, "You know, it is not for us concerning your daughters in any right," which is, I find it very interesting. Here they've translated it to, "We have no need for your daughters." But the actual expression is, "We have no right for your daughters." And then they continue saying, indeed, you know what we want. The second comment Mahab said, offering daughters for marriage, not just for sex. I agree. I think that's what the Prophet Lut was doing. He was offering his daughters for marriage, not just for sex. And they said, we have no right over your daughters, which is kind of interesting, because then if you're thinking about it from a marriage proposal, they're saying, we refuse this offer. That's what they're saying. We don't have a right over your daughters. We don't want right over your daughters. That's not what we want. And you know what we want. You know what our transgressive desires are. And again, I think it's about sexual rape. It's not about homosexuality. But that's my own perspective. And I may be biased. But we're looking at what the verse exactly is saying. The verses are saying, we don't have any right for your daughter. You know what we want. And this kind of indicates of what the problem of Sodom and Gomorrah was.
قال لو أن لي بكم قوة أو آوي إلى ركن شديد.
So the Prophet Lut said, indeed, if only it was for me over you a power or a strength or some sort of refuge that I could take as a إلى ركن شديد, or if I could depend on a support that was strong. So he was saying, like, you can feel the helplessness of Prophet Lut, saying, I don't have power over you, I don't have shelter over you, and I don't have support over you. If only I had it. So we kind of do see the Prophet Lut kind of asking for help, saying, if only I had this strength, or if only I had this power, if only I had this support.
قالوا يا لوط إنا رسل ربك لن يصلوا إليك فأسر بأهلك بقطع من الليل ولا يلتفت منكم أحد إلا امرأتك إنه مصيبها ما أصابهم إن موعدهم الصبح أليس الصبح بقريب.
Very, very interesting phrase, interesting ayah. They said, and here we switch back to the messengers. The messengers said, "O Lut," again it says angels, but we don't have evidence that the messengers are angels. Could be, could not be. I just don't have evidence. They said, "O Lut, we have been sent. We are messengers from your God, and we're telling you, it will not reach. They will not reach you. لن يصلوا إليك. They will not reach you. They will never reach you." And it says, so travel, so kind of escape. So travel with your family at a part of the night, in the middle of the night, travel with your family. And here is interesting where it goes. And do not look back, any of you, except your wife. Now, the reason why this is very fascinating to me is because there's the story of Orpheus in Greek mythology, that he went to the underworld and he was told that he can go and leave with his wife that died as long as he walked out of hell without looking back. There seems to be, and also I've seen it in like Asian mythology, there seems to be a thing about looking back. And I don't know what it is, but it's very fascinating. And so they said, the angels, you have to leave at night and don't look back except for your wife. And why except for your wife? Indeed, that which is coming, the command, will strike her what will strike them. So she's the Prophet Lut's wife was also one of the committers of the transgressions that needed to be punished. And again, this is why I don't think it's about homosexuality. Because if she was also one of the transgressors, and she's a female, it's not about homosexuality. It's about people who are committing transgressions. Again, further evidence to suggest that this is not the case. And then it says, they continue, the angel saying, indeed, the appointed time is in the morning. And there's a very dangerous rhetorical question. Is the morning not near? And it feels like, whew, I mean, like, I don't know, just when you know that judgment is coming that quickly, it's terrifying. Like when you know your life's about to change so quickly, it's overwhelming. So yeah, these are not the only permission to give my opinion from my understanding. I would appreciate your opinion as long as it's not too provocative, because I know that you can do so. So this is kind of one of the parts of the story of Sodom and Gomorrah and Lut. It doesn't mention the main phrase, which is وَيَأْتُونَ الرِّجَالَ مِنَ الشَّهْوَةِ مِن دُونِ النِّسَاءِ. And again, the main phrase that again people talks about homosexuality, which is mentioned multiple times in the Quran, is they used to approach men with lust instead of women. And that's why people think that this is about homosexuality. But again, for me, the fact that the wife of Lut is also one of the transgressors, and she was approaching men with lust instead of women, like, I don't know, it doesn't speak about homosexuality. And then we also look at the Prophet Muhammad did not have any hadith is like speeches about homosexuality. So neither the Quran nor the Prophet tell me that homosexuality is wrong. But again, I'm a fringe case. I understand that many Muslims do not think the way that I do, and they're gonna have a problem with what I'm saying. But I'm just reading what's in front of me, and one-on-one toplet don't mean two. So the comment from Mohab is, it's about orgies and casual sex, swinging basically, but anything goes, including homosexual sex. I don't think it's about that. I think it's about, for me, it's about rape. For me, it's about, the way that I understand it is that they don't care, like in the example given before, they didn't care about what the Prophet Lut was saying. Prophet Lut was telling them, please don't go against my guests. Here's another alternative. And they're like, we don't care what you want. You know what we want. Give us what we want. And so that's why I think it's about rape. It's about what they want, regardless of what the other parties want. And that's why, for me, that translates to rape. When you just care about your desires and not about the desire of the other, that's what makes it about rape. It's not even just about sex. It's not about orgies and casual sex and swinging and homosexual sex. It's about desire that is not matched by the other party. Taking your desire from someone, and that's like in the examples, يَأْتُونَ الرِّجَالَ مِنَ الشَّهْوَةِ مِن دُونِ النِّسَاءِ. It mentions shahwa, which is lust. And it's kind of like, that for me is the main lesson of the Quran. If you lust over someone in a way where you're using them, not trying to find balance together and not try to be fair, but I don't think people who rape will ask permission. And that's kind of the point, is that they were being denied permission and they still wanted to go forward. So they were explicitly given a no, and they're still saying, you know what we want, we're going to get what we want, you know? So that's why it's about rape, in my perspective. Lust equals casual sex, not rape. I do not necessarily agree. The only examples I have are from what I see in the Quran, and in the Quran I see them being told no and them persisting. And that for me is not casual sex. That is sex despite consent, sex despite rejection. And that's why it's about rape, not about casual sex. But that's my perspective on it. But thank you for your comments. Your comments have been very valuable. I appreciate your perspective, Mahab. Thank you for sharing. Last two verses.
فلما جاء أمرنا جعلنا عاليها سافلها وأمطرنا عليها حجارة من سجيل منضود.
Yeah, the last comment from her was, okay, difference of opinion. Absolutely. My opinion does not match the Muslim community by far. I am an outlier in my perspective. But I'm not the only person who thinks that the people of Sodom and Gomorrah were raping people, and that was the problem with them. And I think you can also have references in the Bible, but I have to look into the Bible to kind of be sure about it. Anyway, it says, so when came our command over the people of Sodom and Gomorrah, we made upon them upside down. No, we made upon them the downside of it, which is interesting. And we rained upon them stones made of clay in layers. clustered stones in baked clay. Now the only reference to sijil that I have is from Surah Al-Fil. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألم ترى كيف فعل ربك بأصحاب الفيل ألم يجعل كيدهم في تضليل وأرسل عليهم طيرا أبابيل ترميهم بحجارة من سجيل فجعلهم كعصف مأكول. So we have the reference of the people of the elephants. Did you not see what God did with the people of the elephants, the armies that used to ride elephants? And we brought birds to throw stones of clay upon them. But here it says it rained upon them stones of clay, which is kind of interesting. Sometimes it talks about birds delivering it. Sometimes it talks about it coming from the sky. God can do it in any which way. If God wants to make you suffer, you go suffer. Mine doesn't either. The Muslim community refer to Lut as anal sex with both men and women. Yeah, the people who say this is about anal sex, again, what is your Quranic evidence? I don't see it. I get how you came to these conclusions, but I don't see it in this Quran. I don't see it as that. I'm sorry. And if you do see it, please point in the Quran where it is. I'm happy to learn. I'm sure people will put a lot of comments on this YouTube video anyway. So we shall see. Anyway, so this was the punishment. Stones from clay that were like in layers. And it says, the last verse for today.
مسومة عند ربك وما هي من الظالمين ببعيد.
Okay, and here it says they're marked from your Lord. Which is like, okay, so the layered clay that's marked from God. It's kind of interesting. Why are they marked? What is it trying to tell us that they are marked? It feels like there's like symbols upon them. But why is that relevant? It almost feels like magic. Like, because, I mean, there was magic used to be in the Middle Eastern world for quite some time before it was made illegal by certain people. And there are many references in the Quran saying why you shouldn't work with jinn, but that's not the same as doing magic. For instance, the magic that was popular in, a millennia ago, was writing God's name on certain objects to like make them protective amulets, to make them something. So I feel like this is what this reminds me of. Like God's words on stones make them somehow more powerful. But again, we don't know that. It just says they're marked from God. And it says, and it is not for the wrongdoers. It is not far from, and it is not far from the wrongdoers. And these stones are not far from the wrongdoers. Which I also find interesting. I think it's talking metaphorically speaking, because it's like saying, these stones are going to find their mark, their mark being the people. But is there maybe another metaphorical perspective that they're not far from the people? Maybe it's because like humans are made of clay, and somehow these stones are made of the same thing that we're made of, and it kind of undoes us somehow. Okay, maybe I'm overcomplicating. Anyway, this was the punishment of the people of Sodom and Gomorrah, and that was my perspective on it. Last comment, it says, like I said, my understanding is orgies. I think it's also referred to as orgies somewhere in the Bible. I will discuss the Bible in a second after we end this stream. At least I will discuss it on Twitch. If you want to go to my Twitch to see the rest of this channel. But for now, we end the Quran. And we say thank you all for watching. As usual, we always end the Sadaqallahu al-Ali al-Azim, which means trusted is the word of God, who's most elevated and most high. I explain what it means anyway. And we will see you guys maybe next week, maybe soon, but see you for the next episode. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you. I love you. Ma'as salame. Bye.